Eze, which is a wholesale marketplace for used electronics, has secured used and new electronics has secured a $3.7 million in seed funding to develop its technology infrastructure and broaden its product offering into new markets in Africa. Headquartered in California, Eze connects thousands of buyers across the world using local currencies instead of the US dollar, among other innovative offerings. Joining us now to drill into the latest funding round and more is Josh Nzewi, who is the CEO and co-founder of Eze. Nice having you to connect with us, Josh. Good evening to you. So let's talk about who are the major investment fund managers in this transaction.
Well, first off, thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to be on Arise News today. Leading our round was Right Side Capital, C2 Ventures, Borrow Capital, and EVPI Investments. They are US-based venture capitalist funds. Also, a fund that was not mentioned in our article is Echo VC, which is a Nigerian-based VC fund. But they all participated in the round in our $3.7 million raise.
All right. And so how big is the global market for consumer electronics, particularly in Africa?
So for used electronics, it's about 20 billion. But when you start talking about new electronics, it's about $500 billion is how big the market is.
And as far as what innovations in this business does your company bring to the table, I guess, for consumers on the African continent?
So we help primarily with the distribution of these electronics. Coming into this space, we realized that the way distribution was being done was not efficient. There are multiple middlemen along the process that stripped out value from the devices, making them more expensive for the end consumer. And also we saw there were quality control issues as well. So depending on where you source your devices, they may be fraudulent, they may have functionality issues, or they may not even be legitimate devices. So for instance, like an iPhone that has an Android operating system, right? And so we built our marketplace not only to streamline and make the distribution of the devices much more efficient, but also improving the quality of the devices that are passed through the ecosystem. And making sure that the retail stores, distributors, and ultimately the end consumers are getting high quality devices at the most competitive prices possible.
And when you say distribution, you're talking about to the retailers, yes? You're not, or are you also talking about delivery to the end user?
So we're B2B, so we work business to business, so distribution to the retail stores. But it does have an impact on the prices that consumers pay, right? So as you make distribution more efficient, the retail store has to pay less, and so they can charge less when selling that phone to an end consumer.
All right. Now, so Africa is working on a payment system that will eliminate the use of dollars in intra-Africa trades. That's through the Afri-Exim Bank, PAPS, what do you make of it as far as that system, to where someone in one country can pay in their local currency to another person in another country, and they would receive, both would be using it in their respective local currencies?
Yep, I mean, I love it. I think it's something that needs to be done. I mean, we're working with payment providers already that help us do this. And so we're partnering with multiple companies within Africa, but also on a global basis that are helping with the currency transfer. But allowing people to pay in their local currency and it's settled within another is exactly what we need for global trade to be as efficient as possible.
So as far as how you're going to utilize the funds, was this what level is this? Series A, B, C, pre-seed, and how are you going to deploy the funds?
Yep. So this is our seed round. So I'm really us just coming into the market and raising a proper round to expand our global presence. What we intend to do with the money is to hire more developers to build out our product more and make it much more tailored towards the space, adding a number of new features throughout the course of this year, using the funds also to hire more like sales reps and employees on ground within the countries that we're focusing on. And then ultimately, creating more partnerships and allowing for us to not only, create payment rails in and out of these countries, but also logistics rails as well.
All right, so Series C. So you've done a few rounds prior to this. I guess along the line.
No. This is our seed round. Seed round,
seed.
Not
okay,
series.
thank you. I thought you said Series C. Okay,
seed,
gotcha. All right, so
yeah,
you're right. You're right at the starting line. What is your
exactly.
What's your view on the purchasing power for, I guess, the different countries? How many? What's your footprint like?
Yeah, so right now we're distributing in Nigeria, South Africa, into Egypt, also Ghana. But we are, I think we've only just touched the surface of distribution within these countries, and we're trying to expand much more deeply within them. The purchasing power is, out of this world. I mean, if you look at even this population growth of Nigeria alone, you have over 200 million individuals living within Nigeria, right? And so, like, the importance of streamlining distribution is going to become more and more important in the future, especially as these devices become more integral in our everyday lives. With the emergence of AI coming into play now, like, having access to these smart devices is more important than ever before.
All right, so Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, Ghana, you picked some of the heavy hitters on the African continent. As far as we go, got about a minute left to go. Do you see growth in, you mentioned, I think, $500 billion for the new electronics. Can't remember what figure you said for used, but do you see growth as far as the markets, the respective markets are concerned as we proceed through this year and into the next?
Yeah, so the used electronics market is particularly interesting. We're seeing growth in that market 15 to 20% year over year, right? In the new smartphone market, it's been around 2 to 3%. And so, even though we're focusing on new devices as well, I think used devices are making the most sense in terms of streamlined distribution, making sure that quality is up to par, and people are able to purchase these more affordable devices in the most efficient way possible.
All right, Josh Nzewi, CEO, co-founder of Eze from sunny California, the land of Gavin Newsom. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. Take care.